About 1 year ago now, Netflix released this K-drama called Weak Hero, and honestly, I was pretty obsessed with it. Mainly because I didn't really like K-dramas before this. I thought they were usually overly acted, overly emotional, and just not very realistic. And this show basically opened the door for me into that genre, and I just couldn't get enough of this show or these actors. Some shows just land for the individual, and this became a favourite show of mine, and still is. But last year when it was new and fresh, I was talking about it constantly and recommending it to everyone I knew. It was good. It was so good that it was actually the reason I started this YouTube channel. So, yeah, you have this show to thank. YouTubers generally need a good reason to start a channel, and I always wanted to start a channel like this, reviewing and doing commentary on actors, TV shows, films. But I think to actually get started, you need something, a film or a TV show to get you to make that plunge. Because you need something to talk about, to really talk about. Something that you really like that sparks a conversation, even if it's just with yourself. Because in many ways, you are pretty much talking to yourself. And in this niche, a great show can start you off. And between this and Stranger Things, that's what did it for me. And since I started this channel pretty much a year ago, I thought it would be cool to go back and watch the show and see if it still hits today, a year later. And it does. Yeah. That's not the end of the video. I want to tell you why it still hits for me. It is an action show, yes, but second time around, you really feel the quiet moments more. Sitting in the classroom alone, studying at home alone, the late night studying, the empty classrooms, the walking to school alone, the moments thinking about things alone. You know, it's quite a lonely show. It really reveals a lot about these kids in high school, dealing with so much shit going on in their heads and at home, and the stress of schooling, the class systems. They're all so integral to their society and the ambition for the kids. It's a hard life, but in all the pain and trauma that they're going through, there's a real heart to the show. Most trailers you'll see the action, the great fight scenes, and of course they are brilliant. But the second time around, I just found I loved hanging out with Yoon-seung and the guys. I liked the school, the canteen, and the music. First time watching, I used to skip over the song at the beginning. You know, like how Netflix asks you to skip the music. This time around, I already had the song in my Apple playlist. I liked it before, obviously, but now the show is a hangout for me. It's a mood, a vibe. And that's actually what the best shows eventually become for me. They stop becoming about plot. They become more about places you miss hanging out in. And yeah, I probably do need to get out more. But Weak Hero is one of those shows that lives up to the hype and delivers on many levels, unlike a lot of shows nowadays. On paper, Weak Hero sounds simple. It's about this kid, Yoon-seung, a quiet, physically weak student who transfers into this brutal school environment full of bullying and violence, but instead of overpowering people with strength, he survives through intelligence, observation, and psychology. Although there is some strength because this dude can fight. I mean, he has this little pen and he's quite stabby with it. And through that he ends up forming this friendship with these two completely different boys, Suho and Byum-suk. Suho is the alpha, naturally strong, fight expert, the baddest kid in school, confident and fearless. And Byum-suk is the opposite. He's the non-alpha. He's quiet, awkward, emotionally damaged, but he's also the reason that they all become friends. And together, these three create this little brotherhood. The show is emotional, raw, and thought-provoking. It's a haunting yet empathetic depiction of modern youth and the consequences of unchecked aggression in high schools. But as the show goes on, you see and you learn that there's no aggression without a reason. The aggressors are also victims of some sort, and the ones who inflict pain are also in pain. Park Ji-hoon's nuanced performance as Yoon-seung is quietly powerful. The show has earned praise for its cinematic fight choreography while contrasting it with subtle, powerful, quiet moments. The action is top-notch, honestly up to the standard of any OG martial arts film, but it's not glorified. Well, maybe a little bit, but it's grounded. Every hit feels visceral and meaningful. Yoon-seung, Ah-suho, and Byum-suk. This evolving bond and the fractures between them add so many compelling layers to the story. It feels like you're getting a full background on each of them just by watching them. You can really see their upbringing, how they were raised, and the problems that they're going through internally. The show isn't about glorifying violence, it's about what people become when no one protects them. All three boys deal with the bullying and violence in completely different ways, which is why the friendship works so well. They complement each other in the way that they approach situations. They all react differently and solve problems differently. I mean, you can't just react the way Suho does, fighting everything head on. He doesn't even think twice. But at the same time, you can't survive the way Byung-suk does, just running away from things, completely beaten down by life. Yoon-seung in the middle, just constantly watching, observing every little thing until he just explodes with his little pen. The show understands that there's no perfect answer. You won't know where this show is going. The first season starts out one way and suddenly takes a turn. It's incredibly binge-worthy and immersive. You really get sucked into this world because everybody can relate to it. No matter what age you are, everyone remembers high school, everyone remembers trying to survive socially. And the show doesn't dumb anything down for the audience. It tackles heavy themes but never tells you what's morally correct. Instead, it just shows you, and you observe, and you have to make your own decisions. You watch these characters make painful decisions and suffer serious consequences. Byung-suk is also the new kid, basically a kid starving for love and protection, and the tragedy is that once he finally gets friendship, he doesn't really know how to handle it. Watching Byung-suk slowly unravel is genuinely difficult because you can see every terrible decision forming in his head before he makes it. And you can't stop it, you can only watch. And that's what makes the show so real. His choices suck, but you understand in some way why he makes them. You start to see that, he's not had it good. The show premiered on the Korean platform Wave in 2022 and quickly became one of the most watched dramas there. Then Netflix brought it to a global audience last year. Thank you, Netflix. The realistic depiction of bullying is a huge reason why this show really connected with Korean audiences. A lot of viewers pointed out that it mirrors real-life bullying cases that they've seen. It makes the show painfully authentic. The fights themselves are brutal, not glamorous, not superhero fights. They're messy, fast, and painful. And they all do martial arts. It's like a Jackie Chan film. It's messy and fast, but realistic. In most action shows, the fights are there to make the characters look cool. But in Weak Hero, every fight changes the relationships. Every punch creates consequences emotionally. People don't just win and move on, they carry the damage. Punches feel heavy, the weapons hurt, characters carry injuries, and the action direction is genuinely top level. Park Ji-hoon, this K-pop star who's transitioned into serious acting. This guy completely sheds the idol image here. Whatever he did to connect to Yoon-seung, he nails it. Then you have Choi Hyun-wook as Suho, who apparently improvised a lot of the expressions and lines which gave Suho that relaxed charm. But beneath that charm and humor, there's maturity and loyalty. Suho is one of the characters who barely changes his behavior for anyone. He's just completely full of himself. That's why they love him. Then there's Hyung-kyung as Byung-suk. And honestly, the second half of season 1 belongs to him. The emotional complexity that he brings to that part is unbelievable. You can see someone who's desperately in need of love, approval, and friendship, but who's been so emotionally destroyed for so long, he doesn't know how to receive any of it properly or handle it. The friendship between the three of them is the key to the entire show. The breakdown of that friendship only works because chemistry is so believable. They don't force emotional speeches onto each other. A lot of the communication is pure subtext. The direction understands restraint. The scenes are often shot long form without cutting away. Camera just sits on an actor's face and lets you study them. The performances benefit massively from that. Everything is so powerfully subtle. Yoon-seung, finally smiling properly at the end of episode 4, hits really hard because this guy has been holding in all this expression, all this emotion, all this time, and being able to let go, even just for a second, is huge. Suho's fascinating too because he never gets massive emotional breakdown scenes like the others. He doesn't explode, ever. His performance is all in his eyes. Tiny reactions, tiny shifts, and you can tell exactly who this person is, how he was raised, based on purely how controlled he is. And it's difficult acting because it almost looks like he isn't acting at all. Suho shoving Byung-suk in episode 6 is so unbelievably subtle that in that tiny moment afterwards. Meanwhile, Byung-suk, this guy, is collapsing internally because the person he admires the most is rejecting him. And by episode 7, Byung-suk has basically become a monster, created by monsters. And that's what makes Weak Hero so painful. Nobody becomes evil overnight. You watch every layer of damage build piece by piece. The trio scenes are some of the best moments for me. These times where they sit together, joking around, relaxing in between the action. I wish there were more scenes like this because it's what makes the collapse of the friendship even more heartbreaking. And then comes Weak Hero Class 2. What can I say about it except that Class 2 is for the fans. The ones who couldn't let go of Class 1, the trauma that still lingers longer than it should. Because Weak Hero Class 1 can't really be topped. Byung-suk can't be replaced. A character like that is so hard to replicate. Season 2 isn't trying to outdo Season 1. It exists for healing, for Yoon-seon, and honestly, for us too. I mean, he's been through hell and now we get to watch him trying to make sense of life afterwards. There's still tension, fights, adrenaline, all the good stuff, but the energy now is quieter, more reflective. It's about understanding life after trauma, and it shows that everyone has their own battles that they're dealing with. Suho's still in a coma, and Yoon-seung is still haunted. He carries enormous guilt, and you can feel it in every scene. But life keeps moving forward, and whether he's ready or not, new school, new people, new friendships, new friends who need him, and slowly and awkwardly, he starts to reconnect with the world again. And after what Season 1 puts the audience through, it's nice to let the characters breathe. I love the brotherhood aspect of the show. I love the friendships. You don't get a lot of this in other shows nowadays. These guys all need each other, and you can feel it. They look to each other for support. His new friends are trying to pull him out of his shell, and it mirrors Season 1, but you can tell Yoon-seung has changed. Past hasn't quite left him yet. And despite the huge shadow of Season 1, the new cast is fantastic. I genuinely didn't think anyone could rival Suho or Byung-suk, but the new characters work so well because of the casting. Baku, Sentai, and Hyung-tank, all great additions with strong chemistry. And the villains are even better. Bak-jin is basically the new major threat in Season 2. He moves through scenes like a predator. Tall, broad-shouldered, controlled posture, dead eyes. Every movement feels deliberate. Then there's Shunji, pure chaos. Completely impulsive, violent, and unpredictable. The kind of character who genuinely enjoys destruction. And once again, the fights feel meaningful. And they step it up. I mean, where have they found these guys from who can do all the fights and they can move so fast and fluid? The timing and speed is to such a high level. Every punch matters. One thing I really appreciate about Season 2 is that it stays focused, doesn't overload the audience with endless new faces. Every character has a purpose, and Park Ji-hoon somehow still anchors the entire show without overpowering anyone. He's got so many strong performers around him, but he leads the cast without trying to lead. He doesn't get overshadowed, he doesn't overact, he trusts the silence. The director holds a shot like nobody else. The shot just lingers on a face for seconds, but it feels like minutes. Every blink feels important. The cinematography, the color grading, the soundtrack, the atmosphere, all incredibly polished. And while Season 2 is still heavy, it's heavy in a different way. Season 1 was about destruction. Season 2 is more about the aftermath. And Weak Hero works so well across both seasons because they complement each other. It understands that violence is not the point of it. The point is about loneliness, friendship, shame, and masculinity. Desperate need to survive high school socially and emotionally, and a lot of the time literally. So if you haven't seen the show, I mean, what else could you be watching that ticks as many boxes as this show does? I mean, how can you look at this guy's face without being intrigued as to what the show's about? So yeah, a year later, it's still an amazing show, but it hits different. So please check it out and let me know what you think, and I'll catch you on the next one.